I'm going to keep this video short and sweet because I feel like this form is very self-explanatory if you just follow the directions. So I'm just going to highlight some important things. Make sure that you have in your Basecamp box, which I'll explain what that is in a moment if you forgot or aren't sure. You need 2 breakfasts, 2 lunches, and an on-the-go meal. On-the-go meal means that it's something that you can eat while you're moving. It doesn't have to be one thing. It could be a bunch of little items like a granola bar and, a bag of nuts or something like that. But unlike the other food that we ask you to bring, it is something that does not require hot water to eat because there is no hot water available when we are eating this meal. Hopefully your older child gives your current 7th grade child some tips on what's good to bring and how to pack everything because they know what's going to happen with all of this. And on the next slide, I'll give you some suggested food items. The Basecamp box is a Tupperware container that should be around 12 quarts in size. It doesn't have to be exactly 12, but it should be around 12 because that should fit the required food. And it has to fit inside your school backpack. That's the backpack that we're going to ask you to bring. If you want to get another backpack, you can, but that's the approximate size of the bag that you're going to put this box into. And it has to be able to zip. Weirdly enough, some people say, oh, well, it fits, but it doesn't zip, so good enough. And that's not good enough, and your older child can tell you that that is not good enough because you're going to be hiking with this food in your backpack on your back, and you want to make sure that nothing falls out and it's not uncomfortable to carry. You want to make sure that you weatherproof everything, so you need to put it in plastic bags to protect it from the elements, and sometimes even plastic boxes can leak, so you want to make sure that everything's nice and tight and you wrap it. So for example, no bungee cords. So what I like to do is I use a luggage strap and I tighten the plastic box so nothing opens up. You can just use cord or string if you want, but make sure that it's nice and tight so that way you don't lose any of your food. If any of the food that you're bringing requires utensils like forks, spoons, or knives, or you're bringing like a oatmeal and it needs a bowl, you have to put all of that in the Basecamp box as well. So please pay attention to this because if you don't bring it, you don't eat it. We don't have these available, so it's important that you pay attention to what you need to eat your food if you choose to bring something that requires a utensil or a bowl. In that same backpack, but look carefully, separate from the Basecamp box, is going to be your Sunday lunch, your Sunday dinner, and any personal medication that your child may have. So let's go over that. Sunday lunch and dinner, those are things that don't need to be refrigerated because they're going to be sitting in this backpack all day on Sunday until we eat them. So suggested is a sandwich, something that does not require refrigeration or added water because we also do not have hot water. So we encourage sandwiches, and you can bring a piece of fruit that maybe would go bad because it wouldn't last the week. So for example, like a plum or a banana or some sort of thing where you're going to want it, you can certainly have that on Sunday, but don't put it in your Basecamp box because it will go bad and spoil. It's going to be sitting in the sun all week, so please also keep mind about that when you're packing the food in the Basecamp box. When it comes to personal medication, that has to be in a Ziploc bag and emphasis on clearly labeled with name and groups. You might not know your group yet, you'll get that later, but it has to be in the bottle that it comes in from the pharmacy, which means it has to have the doctor's information on it, any of the dosage information, because if something were to happen and your child has to deal with one of the medical personnel or possibly go to the hospital nearby, then the doctors need to know what medication your child is on. So it can't just be, oh, I'll put a couple of pills in a Ziploc bag and that's good enough. It has to be in that container. Please don't overpack your food because, you want to think, do you want to carry that much? You're not necessarily carrying it all week. Your older child can tell you, you are carrying it for a little while and it does feel heavy at the time. So keep in mind, what you pack, you have to carry. And down at the bottom, this is just your little cheat sheet. Remember, 2 breakfasts, 2 lunch, 1 on the go, and no snacks. We do not stop for snacks. We do not have snacks, so no snacks. If you pack it, they're just not going to be able to eat it, so don't pack it. All right, let's talk about some suggested food items. I'm not going to read this list to you because you're perfectly capable of reading it yourself. I'm just going to give you some tips and pointers. If any of the items that you pick from this list come in boxes with little packages inside, so for example, I'm thinking of, the individual serving of oatmeal or something like that. What you want to do is you want to break down that box so you can fit as much as possible in your base camp box and take all the packaging out and just put the little oatmeal pouches in there because it will save a lot of space if you can kind of mush everything together and not have all that dead air that the box creates for packaging. One thing that some students, find that's really challenging is when we get to the MREs or those, hiking meals that have to sit for a couple of minutes to get eaten. You don't want it to have to be more than 5 minutes before it's ready to eat. So please check on those packaging labels and see if it takes like 8 minutes or more to kind of get, mushy, ready to eat, then that's too long. We don't sit for a half an hour and eat. We have our hot water and the kids only have a little bit of time to eat because we have lots of other things we have to do. So please check that timing and make sure that it doesn't take more than at most 5 minutes, to get ready to eat. Or else what will happen is your child will just have to throw out their food before it's ready because we have to go somewhere and we can't wait for them. It's important that you have no glass containers. We don't want anything to break. Remember, we're in the woods. And also, I'm going to read you the no list. No candy, gum, chocolate, fruit roll-ups, gummy fruits, no Jell-O or pudding, Kool-Aid, lemonade, individual drink mix packages. The reason we say that is not because we're trying to be mean. It's because we really are looking out for you or for your child. And we want to make sure that there's no sugar crash because we're hiking for, hours on end. And if your child had a little sugar spike and now they're in that down moment, at that lull, it's going to be very tiresome for them to continue to hike. So you want to make sure that they don't put themselves in that position and don't bring anything that could spike their blood sugar at all. The only drink is water. Water is the only drink they're allowed to bring. We provide lots of water. That's, nature's hydration. And so please no, iced tea packets or anything like that to put in their water bottle because it actually could create bacteria. And since we're not washing or rinsing out the water bottle all week, you don't want bacteria growing in your water bottle. All right, that's about it for the food packing base camp box list. So if you have any questions, feel free to contact one of the survival staff members.